Here he comes. What a night for him to say goodbye, playing with the team that he effectively said hello to football with, the club where it all began for him. What a string of players we have. What a cast list for a night like this as well. Mark Overmars, the De Boer brothers, Frank Rijkaard, Kanu, Patrick Kluivert. Rolls back the years, really, doesn't it?
Well, we didn't know much about, or we didn't know anything about the under-13s, Dave, but these names that you've talked about and mentioned here, they need no introduction. The players from the past that have done it at the highest level, they've been and played in World Cups, Champions League finals, and they've all come together tonight to honour Edwin, and amazing to see such a crowd here as well.
Frank Rijkaard there, coming on for Ajax, who's now boss of Saudi Arabia. And in fact, the 1995 Champions League game was his last match as a pro. There's Edgar Davids, who we all recognise for the goggles. Patrick Kluivert as well. Ajax's match winner in that 95 final. Milan and Barcelona were his destinations after that. Winston Bogarde. Nwankwo Kanu, who is still plying his trade with Portsmouth at the age of 35.
He'll find it a bit different, Dave, Ajax and Portsmouth, won't he? But he's had a great career. It's been a long career, and I think you look at these players that are all coming out now, the length of the career is something they can be proud of. You know, it's not just 7 or 8 years. Most of them are into double figures, including that man.
It was Fred Grimm, incidentally. Sorry, who's now goalkeeping coach at Ajax, as well as being a former player. And he will just want to soak all of this up. His final night in the spotlight.
Well, it's a wonderful tribute to him, Dave, that this stadium is absolutely packed to the rafters for a player that left the club, how many years ago? 16 years ago? Whatever?
Yeah, he left the club 12 years ago.
12 years ago. They've still remembered what he did for them, the same as here at Old Trafford, they'll remember what he did for Manchester United.
What a career it was that Edwin van der Sar had from Ajax. He was coached by Louis van Gaal. He played for Holland under that man, Guus Hiddink. He also went on to play, of course, for Juventus, first non-Italian goalkeeper in the club's history. A record 130 caps for Holland as well. So many accolades during his career, and so many people have so many good things to say about him as well. And this is the kind of game, when you see a cast list like this with players from both sides, you really fancy this to be an entertaining spectacle.
Well, there's a lot of talent on the pitch, Dave, all right. The years have caught them up. They won't be able to move certainly the way they used to. People like Mark Overmars, who we all know is a flying winger at Arsenal and at Barcelona. As time goes on, that pace disappears, but certainly the quality and the ability to find players and the passing ability, I don't expect that to have left the players that we're watching now.
Ruud Hesp with the gloves for the Dutch team. Giovanni van Bronckhorst we saw there as well. Pierre van Hooijdonk in this team tonight too. So plenty of names and faces that you'll recognise. But that's the main man. Guy who started his career wanting to be a striker. He was stuck back in goal because he was so tall. And in the end, it proved to be a wise decision. But then, having said that, all goalkeepers think they can play outfield.
Well, normally, Dave, the goalkeepers I've known and played with and managed, they can all play outfield. Majority of them have been good outfield players.
I think Alex Stepney's back in the studio for us in Manchester. Could he play?
Could he play? Top goal scorer at one stage of the season he was for us.
There we go.
Took the penalty kicks. Big Al, no problem, come out of goals up to that penalty spot, 12 yards from goal at the other end, and no problem, back of the net.
I bet Eric Steele fancies himself as an outfield player as well.
Well, I don't know about Eric, I haven't seen him play.
So Edwin will have to work hard to keep some of these Dutch strikers out, the likes of Van Hooijdonk and Mackay. But of course, that's how he's made his name, making sure that nothing goes past him.
Well, young Joe van der Sar didn't have a save to make in the last game, but with the names that are on the opposition to Edwin, you'd expect them to be certainly called into action. I mean, Roy Mackay that you mentioned, Dave, I don't know what his goal scoring record was, but I know it was exceptional. Maybe you can help me out there.
Yeah, it was just over 250 goals scored in 500 games. Unbelievable record.
I mean, that's a great record.
He's in the opposition tonight up against Edwin. It's Ajax who will kick us off then in their traditional kit. In fact, both teams in traditional colours tonight. And Kanu and Kluivert will be getting the ball rolling. We'll see him shortly. Mr. Rooney. It's in the next game. Well, most of these players have hung up their boots, but they were all desperate to take the field once again in tribute to their great teammate Edwin van der Sar. This is Masters football gone global.
Well, there's the first good idea, taking the kick off and smashing it right back to Edwin.
Getting him involved straight away. He has actually scored for Ajax in the past. In 1998, he scored a penalty in an 8-1 victory against De Graafschap. Very coolly taken it was as well. And of course, he's made his name as well, keeping penalties out at the other end. Most famously from every United fan's favourite Chelsea player, Nicolas Anelka. Here's Finidi George, looking to cause trouble for Holland. He, of course, used to play for Ipswich Town as well as Ajax. I wonder which spell he enjoyed more in his career.
Edwin's goal-scoring record for United, Dave? I take it as nil.
It is.
Alex Stepney in the studio. He'll tell you at the break. I think it was something like 6 or 7 in one season.
He's laid a marker down there for any future United goalkeepers to try and beat, certainly. Interesting to see how well these players get back on each other's wavelength as well, having not played for a while. But it's Kanu who brings it forward. He's got Kluivert with him. Thinks it out wide to Mark Overmars, who runs at Bolo's end, and Overmars in towards Kluivert. Kanu was there. Nice little flick. But there were enough orange shirts to smother the danger.
Well, being on the same wavelength won't be a problem, Dave. Once you've got that brain in the head, that doesn't go away. It's the legs. But to just watching Overmars there, his first run of the game, he didn't look any different to the Overmars we've seen.
Here's Gio van Bronckhorst, who we saw at Barcelona and at Rangers. A couple of spells at Feyenoord and of course at Arsenal as well. Only retired last year, in fact, Van Bronckhorst. He's 36, one of the younger players on show tonight, many of them in their 40s. Here's Overmars, who retired 7 years ago, then came out of retirement to play a bit of lower league football in Holland.
Well, the game shouldn't be any problem to people like Van Bronckhorst and Kanu, that, especially Kanu, he's still playing.
Patrick Kluivert bringing out the tricks. Overmars looks for Kluivert again. Neatly nodded away, though, to Wim Jonk, who ended up leaving Ajax and went to Inter Milan, PSV and Sheffield Wednesday. Van Bronckhorst. Louis van Gaal always looks serious. So does Gus Hiddink when they are in the dugouts. Even in a game like this, I'm sure they'll be barking out instructions to their teams. Here's Van Hooijdonk. Plenty of Ajax shirts back here. Not too many orange shirts forward. It was forward for Van Bronckhorst, cleared there by Reisiger, who retired after a season at Middlesbrough. And then a spell at PSV. Kluivert has some running to do here. Ronald de Boer made the run through the middle.
Patrick Kluivert ain't going to do any running, Dave. Didn't do a lot when he was when he was at his peak.
Just ask the Newcastle fans. Didn't have the greatest of spells up there, but was a fearsome striker in his Barcelona days. 6 years he had there. Overmars herring after this one. Two players to pick out in the middle. Nodded away by an orange shirt to Kanu. Ronald de Boer sets himself. He's got lots of time. Kluivert through towards Davids. Ruud Hesp, though, had to be sharp on his feet. Now away goes Van Hooijdonk. Giant striker trying to burrow his way through. Needs a bit of support, does he? Well, he did, didn't he?
Well, it wasn't the best of finishes from the big fella, Pierre Van Hooijdonk. Scored lots of goals at Celtic, did exceptionally well in Scotland. Big crowd favourite as well. I think he still plays with the Celtic Legends from time to time in one or two of those games that they're involved in.
Yes, he retired 5 years ago, but of course former players have plenty of matches to keep them busy once they've hung the boots up. Here's Danny Blind, 50 years old now. He was the captain in 1995 as Ajax won the Champions League. De Boer through to Kanu, trying to set Finidi George away. I wonder what it's like to leave Ajax to go to Real Betis and then end up in Ipswich.
Bit of a shock. Go to Betis, that is. No problem going to Ipswich. It's just a little bit far out, isn't it?
Here come Holland. Bergkamp surging onto the ball and making Edwin work.
Well, this is what we've seen at Old Trafford for not just last season, but the season before that and the season before that. Half a chance, it looks as if it's heading for the corner of the net. The big fella's down and saves it comfortably.
End-to-end stuff, this, with Kluivert getting involved. Fancied a bit of glory for himself. It was blocked, though, by Andre Uyer, who is still playing at 37.
Well, you mentioned Ipswich there, Dave. They had a few Dutch players over the years. Arnold Muren for one or two others after that.
Arnold Muren's been involved in the coaching system at Ajax as well. As Roy Mackay tries to fling one into the box. Finidi George, though, keeps the ball ticking over for Ajax, and off they go again. Back in 1995, year of old heads and youthful exuberance. Their formation at the time was 3-1-2-3-1. So there was always someone spare to help out the back three, and always someone spare to attack and move forwards. Of course, Ajax were the club side which really started the total football revolution. They're not doing a bad job of it here. What's the referee say there? It was Ronald de Boer who was chopped down in his prime by Richard Witschke. No problem, says the referee.
Well, it was a tough decision for the referee, Dave. He could have gone either way. Was he inside the box? Oh, probably just inside the box, but the referee takes the view it's not a foul.
Ajax are all over Holland at the moment here. Overmars, stopped by Hesp. He's showing a bit of that devastating pace that he had in his prime. Not quite as quick, but still too quick for Holland.
But you wait to see second half, Dave, when they start to tire a little bit, the Ajax players, they'll just be giving the ball to him, saying, go on, you run with it.
Well, ball in here with an opportunity for Van Bronckhorst, who found himself central for a moment. Frank Rijkaard, though, trying to play his way out of trouble. Past Bolo's end, and who's actually without a club at the moment after being released by Sunderland. Here he is again, chance for him to catch someone's eye maybe. Van Hooijdonk. Arthur Newman, another former Rangers player. Jonk thought about the shot. Van Hooijdonk just lost the ball in the crowd. And off we go again with Mr. Kluivert. Another one of the players who could have featured for the Dutch team rather than Ajax in this fixture. So could Edgar Davids have done. Here he is getting the tricks out up against Zenden. Decent ball over for Kluivert, trying to hold off the attention and find Davids again. And Hesp was almost called into action, but the deflection saved the Dutch side. Great play from De Boer. Took it away from Mackay, but presented it back to Zenden, and off we go now with Van Hooijdonk.
Just going back to that last save from Edwin, Dave, we've seen it that many times, we just take it for granted, but I think at half time if we see it again, you'll see once again it's an exceptional save.
One of those where it helps being 6'5".
Well, yeah, but you've still got to get down there and get stretched, and you've still got to bring off the save.
Van Hooijdonk left that for Bergkamp, but they weren't quite on the same page, so off goes Kanu. Kluivert is with him, Overmars steaming forward. Instead it's with Ronald De Boer. Up against Uya. Space here for Overmars. Tried to tee up Kanu. This Ajax team beat AC Milan in the final in 1995. A team which had Ruud Gullit, Baresi, Maldini, Donadoni, Boban and Savicevic. Fabio Capello was the boss of Milan that night. 1-0 win for Ajax with the goal from Kluivert over in Vienna. In fact, of the 32 players in the two squads that night, only 4 were considered foreigners. Ajax had 13 Dutchmen. Milan had 15 Italians. How the game has changed since then.
It's just a pity the referee didn't award that penalty kick shout to Ajax. We might have seen Edwin coming out a goal and taking it.
That's very true. And if it happens at all in this game, you may well see him step forward to take. Overmars almost skipping in past Bolo Zenden. A real treat for these home fans tonight as well, isn't it, to see their national team of days gone by up against their hometown club.
And the national team of days gone by, Dave, is a lot better, I think, than the national team at the moment. I mean, over the years we expected the Dutch sides always to be involved come the end of tournaments, being very close to the finals, if not in the finals, but apart from once or twice in the last maybe 6 or 7 years, it hasn't been the case.
Well, this Dutch team from 1998 got to the